What would you rate this out of 5?
There's halloumi and chicken.
Oh, yeah. He really hates women too.
He hates women.
No.
No. Spoiler.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
I'm on page 3.
Figuring out 30. It's all okay.
2 hours later.
Collapsing and dying. But
We didn't read anything else.
nothing.
There's a possibility. Just girly things. Time to read for 24 hours. My name's Eliza. Come join me and my friend Laura for our first ever 24-hour readathon. As part of this readathon, we're starting a buddy read of Orwell's 1984, which you'll see. Laura is also reading a self-help / memoir called Figuring Out 30 by Bridget Hustwaite, because she just turned 30, and don't we all need reassurance sometimes? Along with 1984, my picks for the readathon are a cozy mystery to solve called Summer's End by Juno Black, as well as a gorgeous anthology of fairy tales from all over the world called Winter Tales by Dawn Casey. I've picked this little selection so I can switch up books depending on my mood and how focused I need to be, because 1984 is going to require brain power. So, like us, get yourself some yummy snacks, a blanket to snuggle into, and let's begin. We've only read, 2 chapters?
2 chapters, yeah.
Because it takes a lot of effort to actually decipher this world.
It's just a lot of inner monologue and not a lot of dialogue.
He really hates women too.
He hates women. He really does. Then I read the synopsis on the back to get an idea of like, okay, well, what am I getting into? And it seems that he's going to change his views.
He also seems paranoid.
Yeah.
Understandably so, because Big Brother is watching, and that's where the Big Brother thing comes from. And I keep thinking about Suzanne Collins making the arena in Sunrise on the Reaping an eye shape, and it's all about propaganda, and that's the point. And it's like, references,
Connection.
So that's why there's like eyes everywhere.
Eyes everywhere, yeah. It's not the type of book I think that you can read in like one sitting.
No.
And be like, great, I'm like all for the next chapter, bring it on. Like it's a slow burn. So then I don't know whether it was just I was fighting off sleep, but he don't really have a lot of free speech. They don't have a lot of like opinions outside of what the Big Brother wants them to think. And so he comes across this book that's kind of against the law, and he turns it into his journal. Yeah. Is he the type of like hateful where it's like, I can't believe that happened, like a journal about it?
I need to rage journal about the world being in a shambles. I mean, fair, I've done that. He was, quote, stricken immediately by an overwhelming desire to possess this book. Vibes.
Yeah.
He really hates women,
Yes.
but he also hates oppressive government structures.
What do you highlight?
Initially, I highlighted words that had capital letters, which meant that they were something important. There's talk of spies and children almost being like encouraged to snoop on their family and turn them in if they hear anything against Big Brother.
Those kids are so annoying.
Yeah, the kids who are like, we're the police, we're here to get you. Cult vibes as well.
Stay tuned. And do you find ever with any kind of books where it's broken into parts, you'll get to like part 2 or something and you'll be like, wait a minute, this was a book that was in parts. Do you ever get like that?
Where you forget there's part 1.
You forget that there was a part
Yes.
1, like maybe because part 2 is so far into the book that you get to it, you're like, what's happening?
I remembered it with the Hunger Games. I don't remember if it happens in the original Hunger Games trilogy, but in the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes and Sunrise on the Reaping, they have part 1, 2, and 3. And for those 3, for the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, it's the mentor, the prize, the peacekeeper, I think, which is like his shifting identity. Yeah.
It's actually really good way of thinking about it. Is it once they get out of the arena, they are in a relationship? Is that right?
No.
Or is it no? Spoiler.
Yeah. Do you want to know?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, you saw the movie.
I saw the movie.
6 hours later.
We're going way off topic, but there are links. They're both dystopian novels.
Yeah. You know how those books that you just completely kind of tune out while you're reading, and then it's almost like you didn't have to totally pay attention? Yeah.
Not this.
Not this at all. You need 110%
You need
concentration.
You need to highlight.
You need notes. I have a bad habit of just going on autopilot and kind of coming back in and realizing, wait a minute, what have I missed?
But that's also how you can read so much, I find, is if you just...
Stay tuned.
I'm now going to start reading or continue reading my Shady Hollow book. Cozy mystery vibes.
Autumnal.
Autumnal.
Am I not saying it right?
Autumnal.
Autumnal. No, that's not it.
Yeah, it is.
That's like how I say Halloween. I say Halloween. I'm reading Figuring Out 30 because I turned 30 last month. So I want to find a way to navigate this new decade. And we'll see how it goes.
You said you wished you'd read it at 29.
I wish I'd read it at 29. If this had only found me last year, so I could have mentally prepared for turning 30. But turning 30 actually wasn't so bad.
No, it has all this anticipation before, and then it's just like
it's this
life.
Huge build up that you're gonna just have this moment of collapsing and dying. But it wasn't so bad at all. It was actually totally fine, and I wish I had known that when I was in my early 20s.
It was fine because we just went and got Japanese for lunch and then went to the bookshop.
Yeah, it was no different. Like,
it was chill.
Yeah, in my heart, I still feel like I'm 25, 26.
We missed out on, COVID makes you just age down 5 years, so 25.
Absolutely.
We'll read on.
Well, it is currently...
I'm tired.
It's currently 6:20. Okay, so we'll check in
about half an hour, probably when food comes.
Yeah.
Just then.
Laura, what did you just discover?
So I just went to a random page and this author posed the question about what people expected to be in their 30s, where in life. Emma, 30, expectation, happily married with kids, reality, forever single and still in a share house. Expectation, married, homeowner with children, reality, divorced, renting and freezing eggs solo.
Go girl. Do what you want to do with or without someone.
It's all good. It's all going to be okay.
It's all going to be okay.
That's the message. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
You know, figuring out 30. It's all okay.
Much later.
We didn't read anything else.
Nothing.
Because we were busy choosing a movie.
Choosing a movie.
For like half an hour. And then we ended up choosing New Moon. Which was...
Yes, it was one of the first suggestions we made. And I was like, no, let's find something else.
Just girly things.
Later that same evening.
It's currently 10:20. How much have we read so far since we started at 4:30? 2 chapters of 1984. We watched New Moon and had dinner and then talked and set up Laura's bed for tonight and haven't read any more since. So Laura is starting this one that we didn't end up starting before, and I'm continuing with Summer's End. I'm on page 56, which is 22% of the way through. I'm just gonna read some before bed. So
I'm on page 3.
Progress. Just set up my sofa. Now Laura's gone home, so I can feel like I'm on a cloud while I finish off reading. Excuse me. You. My Kindle's telling me I've got just under 3 hours left to finish my book, and I've got about an hour and a half left of this challenge. So I probably won't finish it, and that's totally fine. it's nice to just settle into a book. I'll see you at the end.
Epilogue.
Quick update. It's been about a week since the readathon with Eliza. I ended up finishing Figuring Out 30 by Bridget Thuswaite a few days ago. Gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was a really great book. There were some great topics covered, including body image, friendships, family, work-life balance. I think why I didn't quite give it 5 out of 5, just there were a few chapters that weren't super relevant to me that I kind of just glossed over. That doesn't mean that the next person that reads it won't find those chapters relevant. I would recommend the book though, anyone around the age of 30, even leading up to the age of 30, to just kind of reflect and reevaluate what their expectations were and how they're never quite going to meet. But now we are going to read the next few chapters of 1984. Stay tuned.
Meanwhile,
I wanted to update you on what I read, how much I read, and what I think of the books now that I've finished one and started another one, actually. Starting off with the Shady Hollow book, the 5th one, which was Summer's End. That's mostly what I read in the readathon that we did. I've mentioned it a bajillion times. The Shady Hollow series follows a cast of anthropomorphic animals, and it's like Agatha Christie meets Beatrix Potter. Very much cottagecore vibes, cute, some whimsy, but also there is a murder that will occur in each book, I'm pretty sure, from memory, or at least some kind of mystery. These I would really recommend for my fellow mystery lovers or thriller lovers if you're looking for something that's not quite so dark and grim. The animals live in peace with each other and you just want to live in these places until, of course, the murders occur, because it's not all sunshine and rainbows the whole time. Shady Hollow is the main town and setting of the series, but in this one they go to a town nearby called Summer's End, where there's an archaeological site that has some history about the animal society. And I really liked that we got more world building because of that. I actually did miss some of the usual characters that we have in the other books because they're not there. They're back in Shady Hollow and they might get referred to, but I was like, I miss them. So we met a whole bunch of new characters. Really enjoyed meeting some of the new critters, like the professors, because they're there to research the archaeological site and its significance. I finished this a few days after the readathon, and I think it might be my favourite Shady Hollow book so far. It was a cozy mystery which also lent into some light academia because of the professors. The professor characters are studying the site, and then of course there's a murder that occurs that seems to have something to do with ancient burial rites and the occult. But of course, nothing is ever as it seems. I think apart from the first one, this is the only other one in the series that I didn't solve the whodunit. More evidence kept popping up, or more clues or red herrings, and so my idea of who it could be, who was the culprit, kept changing, and I wasn't exactly sure who to trust a few times, and that made for a kind of more interesting and compelling story than a few of the other ones. I was satisfied with the ending, I think, because I didn't fully see it coming. I did think about that, not person, but character, being to blame, but I wasn't sure. I kept changing, so I liked that I couldn't pin it down. But it all made sense at the end. As you would have seen, Laura and I did start reading 1984. I haven't read a lot more of this. I'm up to chapter 5. This is not what I would call a bingeable book. It is very much brain on, and I'm slow reading it, and I'm very happy to just slow read it to absorb it, because I'm also highlighting and annotating as I go, because there's a lot of language that is made up specific to this book. There's a lot of world building already, because obviously it's a dystopian story. I can see why you'd read this in school, and why you would also maybe need a teacher if you're a teenager to help you understand what's going on. I'm intrigued so far to know more about the main character and how this all came to be, where everything is super controlled. History is literally rewritten and changed. Fake news. I'm not as engaged with the actual writing style of this. I feel like I'm kept at a distance from the main character, and I'm just kind of like it feels like a classic, because it is. So yeah, it's Laura and I had a chat about it, and she's hating it, so sorry Laura. I was like, I want to read this, do you too? And she agreed. It's not paying off yet, but we'll see. It's kind of referred to as like the first dystopian novel, but it was actually a novel called We by Yevgeny Zamyatin. Sorry. We was written about 20 years before 1984. So it was the precursor. It's on my Kindle, so I'll get to it at some point, and I kind of want to compare the themes that are in both. I didn't actually get to reading any of my Winter Tales book, but I've started reading it since, so I wanted to talk about it. There's 18 stories in here with beautiful illustrations. Just kind of enjoying dabbling and reading a couple a week. I read the first 2 maybe last week in bed before I went to sleep with my cup of tea, sleepy tea, and I was listening to one of those ambience playlists that was the Narnia movie music, and it was so beautiful. Would recommend. It was great. It set the tone, giving very cozy vibes before bed. And these are just really cute and heartwarming. I've always been into fairy tales, so I'm finding it quite worthwhile to expand my knowledge and repertoire. So far, the 4 I've read are The White Bear King, which is a tale from Norway, Tanuki's Gold, which is based on this cute little animal that kind of looks like a raccoon, but isn't. So beautiful. Look at those colors. That one's from Japan. The Story of the Mitten from Ukraine, which housed a lot of animals and is about sharing. And A Cloak for the Moon, which is a Jewish folk tale from Poland. My next one, which is a bit longer, which I'm somewhat familiar with, is The Nutcracker, which I'm not gonna lie, I'm mostly familiar with because of the Barbie movie, the animated one from like 2001 or whatever it was. That's what I've been reading recently, but within the 24-hour period, I did not read as much as I thought/hoped I would. I read 149 pages, which isn't a lot, but I have to focus on the positive, which is that that's more than I would usually read during a 24-hour period. When I sit down to read on like an average day, I might read for 45 minutes to an hour and a half maybe, and then I'm kind of done. Laura and I hadn't seen each other properly for a little while, so once we met up, we started catching up. So by the time we actually started, it was like 4:30 or so. We lived life. We caught up, we got pizza for dinner and watched New Moon. In the morning, we took my dog for a walk and got breakfast, and then we read some more. But it was very sporadic reading throughout those 24 hours. We were very chill about the reading aspect. I'd recommend this as a fun thing to do with your friends if you've got other friends who like to read. It was really fun to be able to pause at certain times and then talk about what we were both reading. And it was a good way for us both to also start reading 1984 together, to get the start on it so then we could discuss. And since then we've been messaging each other too about what's happened so far. Also snacks. You gotta have snacks. Be prepared. Get them before you start, and then you can just munch away. I'd recommend if you're doing this with a friend to discuss with each other before you sit down to read how long you're going to read for or how much you're going to read for. Like we said for 1984, let's read the first 3 chapters and then we can pause and talk about it. She read faster than me, so she started having a nap while I was finishing it off. At other times, I think there were bits where we're like, okay, let's read for like an hour and then have a little break and have a cup of tea or whatever. I'd also really recommend having a selection of books to choose from, because I had like a bingeable cozy mystery, then I had a real brain on kind of book that I could put down after a certain amount of time. And then I had this as the option, something that's like a short story collection or poetry or something to break it up a bit is maybe a good idea. So then depending on my mood or level of focus or how into the book I was, then I could either keep going or change and dip in and dip out. Next time I'd like to challenge myself to read more than 149 pages. I think Laura said she read just under 200 maybe. Next time I could also mix it up by having an audiobook that I listen to while I do something hands-on like crochet. Not that I crochet, I don't know how to crochet, but I could learn and then I could do it while I'm listening to an audiobook. You could also draw or knit or build something. You could play with Lego. You can do whatever while you're listening to an audiobook. You can do the dishes, not so exciting, but you can. Something more dexterous to do while listening would be a good way to mix it up. It was a really good way to motivate myself to read and have some fun and make like a social thing of it, because I'm lucky that Laura likes to read, so hence why I was like, hey, do you want to do this? It's fun whether you do this solo or with a friend. If you're in the middle of something and you're having trouble to get into it, this could be a good strategy. It really gave me some momentum, which is what I enjoyed. Look at that. Thanks for joining me for my 24-hour reading vlog. And Laura, thank you for joining me properly. I hope you're having a great day wherever you are and that you're enjoying what you're reading. Comment down below what you're reading and what you're thinking of it so far, or the latest book that you've read and loved, because I mean, I don't need any more recommendations, but I do like them. See you in the next one. Bye.